Hello, my friends. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Should I Stay or Should I Go relationship support group for women. Happy to be with you as always on Fridays at noon Eastern. Happy almost spring. We have our spring equinox. And today, my loves, we are talking about can you make your relationship feel good again? Please type in if you're here. Or if you're on the recording, just type in and say hello so we can see who's here. So I'm thinking about all in this springtime and feeling, I know for me, spring is always such a wonderful time. It's my favorite time of year. It's about rebirth and renewal and new life. And I'm thinking about all of you because if you are feeling unhappy and frustrated in your relationship, um, then it's I don't know. I sometimes feel like this spring, it's like it's calling us forward. It's new life, and it's kind of maybe making whatever discontent you're feeling in your life less tolerable. So I actually see that as a good thing. So, not that I'm glad if you're unhappy and frustrated and feeling a greater sense of discontent right now. I'm sorry if you are suffering with that pain, but I'm glad if you are, finding it becoming less tolerable because that's actually a good sign. And so, I really want to acknowledge you that you're here right now and you're in this group and you're seeking answers to those questions and you're seeking the tools and the support you need, and I have a lot of great help available for you, and so just to acknowledge you, that you are acknowledging how you feel, if that makes sense. So I want to ask you some questions today to help you just start to answer that question. If you're wondering, is it possible for this relationship to work? Is it possible to make this feel good again? And most of the women that come to this group and most of the women that I work with do, maybe you already kind of know that, you don't want to try, but most of the women, they want to know, before they would make a decision to leave, that they did everything possible to see if there was room for improvement. So I want to ask you some questions today that you can ask yourself to just to help you start to think about, is it possible for this relationship to feel good again? Does that sound good? All right, so the first question is, like I was saying, like, do you want to try? Can you make this relationship feel good again? Well, do you even want to try? And maybe you don't know the answer to that question. A lot of people, you don't know. So the deeper question is not do you want to try based on the current conditions and circumstances, which are making you maybe not want to try, but just looking a little deeper and just asking yourself, is there still love there? Is there still, and this is what the research shows is that between partners, if there's still some sense of fondness for each other, and if there's still some love there and some willingness on the part of both partners to want to try and make it work, then it is possible for things to improve. And so, another question that can be really telling is to ask yourself, was there ever a time, can you remember a time when it did feel good? Was there ever a time when it really did feel good? And so, that can be another question that you can ask that's really telling. And then the next thing, that if you want to be able to answer that question, can I make my relationship feel good again? After thinking about, like, do I even want to try, is to think about what's not working. And the biggest things that I hear are just that there's this lack of connection, this lack of emotional connection, which is the most common thing, or the communication is an issue. And so I have to tell you that, that is so common, and it's really not anybody's fault. It's not your fault because we're just sort of not given, you get married, you get into a relationship, you're not given the manual on how to maintain a loving, intimate connection over a long period of years. Life happens. And so it's actually a skill, and there's specific things you can do to maintain that. So I just want to put that out there, that is so common, and it's just not, we're just not taught that. And so I guess the good news is that if that's the main thing that you're struggling with, is just that sense of disconnection, or I feel like we've grown apart, or the communication, we just can't communicate, then, those are things that it is possible to improve. And I am really excited to let you know that I'm going to be doing another training the week after next, the week of March 29th, the 5 keys to discover if you can make your relationship work. So we're really going to take a deep dive into helping you answer this question. But, like what do you need to be happy? What are the things, like, is it possible to improve, and what things not so much, right? And so just for now, know that if that's your biggest issue, if it's just that sense of lack of connection, then it is possible for that to change. And what would need to happen? This is the next question. What would need to happen in order for things to change? Well, like I said, first of all, a willingness from both partners to have some desire to want to make it work, to want to try. However, and this is the really good news, it only takes one person to shift a relationship dynamic. And we are going to take a really good deep dive into that on day 1 of the training, with talking about what's not working and can you fix it. So, a relationship, it's like a dance, and right? And so when one person changes, when one person shifts how they're showing up, it changes the whole dynamic of the relationship. So you have a lot of power. And like I said, we're going to take a deep dive into that on day 1 of our training. But just for now, know that you have a lot of power. It only takes one person to shift a relationship dynamic. And so, that's another thing so I want to invite you to just think about for a minute now, like, how are you first thing, we have to look at ourselves, and how are we showing up? How are we showing up for ourselves, first of all, in our lives, and how are we showing up in a relationship? And I talked about this more last week, if you want to go back and check last week's Friday Live, about, are you making this, are you falling into this relationship trap? I think I was calling it. But it's about, and most of us, this is so common, and I know this was my life story of just showing up from a place of need. What do I need to get from you in order to be happy, versus showing up as the wholest, happiest, most loving expression, most fullest expression of who I am, and coming from a place of what can I bring to the relationship versus what do I need to get from you in order to be happy. So that's, that's like the big question, is to start to thinking about, what am I needing to get from you that I really need to start to give myself? And so, then another trap that we fall into is we then start to sit in judgment of our partner. And, we get very focused on everything that's not working. And if you are feeling like you're judging your partner right now, that, he's not ambitious enough, he's, I don't know, just, that's a common one. It's like, I've changed, I've grown, I have aspirations in life. He just wants to sit around and, watch TV or whatever. But, as long as we're sitting in judgment of, whatever that is about our partner, then that automatically is going to prevent you from creating more connection, obviously. Can you see how that works? So when we're in judgment of other people, it's the opposite of intimacy. Judgment creates separation. And yeah, it's when we're holding people in judgment, and then we're putting that, we're blocking our ability to connect in a loving, intimate way with them. So just, I'm gonna give you a couple tips about that. And for today is then to maybe start to notice, where am I judging that person? And I'll tell you a really interesting thing about judgment, if you're willing to be honest with yourself, is that there's an old Native American proverb, is when we're pointing a finger at someone else, there's four of them pointing back at us. And so usually when we're in judgment of other people, that there's something that's just really rubs us the wrong way, it's usually because there's something about that in ourselves that we don't like. And so it's easier to kind of project that onto another person. So if you are willing to, be honest with yourself, next time you feel like you're judging someone, you can ask yourself, so what is it about that person that I'm not liking right now that I actually am resonating with, that I don't like about myself? But just know that whenever we're holding people in judgment, that automatically creates that separation. So that's one tip, is then to just start to, what can you appreciate? I know I share this one a lot. So there's a little shift for you. What can I appreciate about my partner? Is there still something that's good about him that I can focus on, that I can appreciate? And and then the main thing is really like bringing it back to yourself. Is, if you are in a situation, you're here, you're unhappy in your relationship, you're wondering, is it possible to improve this? Step one is always, how am I showing up? And if I'm showing up from that place of needing you to behave in a certain way in order for me to be happy, or just looking to you because for what do I need to get from you, it's automatically not going to, it's setting you up for disappointment, and it's setting you up for just a not so healthy relationship dynamic. So it always, that's always the first place to start, is come home to yourself, come back to yourself, and just start to think about, what am I needing, and is it something that I can start to give myself? And regardless of whatever ends up happening, if you decide to stay in your relationship or not, you always need to be able to ask yourself that question. What do I need to do to feel good about me, to show up in my life the way that I want to? And so I invite you to just start to focus even on self-care. Yeah, focus on self-care. What does that mean? So it's like, well, what can I do today? What do I need to do today to take care of myself? What do I need to do? Is there something I can do that will just help me feel good today? Right? I'm going to head out for my walk pretty soon. I know I tell you this all the time, but I go out every day, pretty much regardless of the weather, unless it's like below zero and windy. But that's my connection with nature. That's my connection with spirit. That's how I get out of my head and really just get centered and peaceful within myself. I have a lot of different practices that I do too, which I will be sharing more with you over the coming days. But definitely, if you are struggling with that question of can you make your relationship feel good again, I highly encourage you to join us the week of the 29th for our upcoming free 5-day training, the 5 keys to discover if you can make your relationship work. Consider yourself invited right now. There is a link at the top of the page. You can click to register so you can get all the access details and valuable communications that I'll be sending out around that training. So obviously we're not going to make any big life decisions in 5 days, but you will come out, I promise, feeling just a lot more peace and a lot more clarity, because we're gonna dive deep into these questions. What's not working and can you fix it? What do you need to be happy? What's keeping you stuck? There's research shows most women stay stuck in unhappy relationships for years because they don't have the tools and the support they need to be able to make the decision that's right for them. I know that was certainly my case, and that's why I am here helping you today, because I've learned there actually is a process that you have to go through based on my training as a transformational life coach, my life experience, all the research I've done, all the women that I've worked with over these past several years. There's actually a process, and I'm going to walk you through that process in our training. So yeah, you're gonna get on the path. You're gonna be able to relax into knowing that there actually is a process that I can be on that's gonna help me answer this question to find out, can I make this work, or is it going to be time to lovingly release it and move ahead in my life confidently in a way that serves everybody's highest good. So definitely join us for that. Click that link above if you want to register. And for today, as always, focus on self-care. What can I do today to take care of me, to make myself happy so I can show up as the best version of myself in my interactions with other people? And what can I appreciate? What can I appreciate either in my life, or what can I focus on about my partner that I can still appreciate? And that that's the beginning, and that can be very powerful. When you show up, it changes the whole energy. When you show up from that place of feeling nourished within yourself, and not holding that other person in judgment, that's a very powerful energy shift. So I invite you to play with that, start to play with that, and do join us for the training coming up soon. All right, darlings, please give this a thumbs up if this was at all helpful for you. That gives me feedback, helps me know how I can best support you. And please say hi if you're on the recording. Just pop in a comment and say hi so I can see who's here. Any questions, comments, pop them in the comments. Click that link above to join us for the training, and give it a thumbs up if you liked it. All right, my darlings, happy spring. Keep taking good care of you, and I will see you very soon. Take good care. Bye for now.